Good evening and welcome to our presentation on apprenticeships within East Durham College. My name's Emma Norbury. I am part of the apprenticeships team here within the college. I'm going to run through the slides and talk to you a little bit about what an apprenticeship looks like. So you may have heard of apprenticeships, you may have been talking about them at school or with careers advisors, but do you fully know what an apprenticeship is? So the dictionary definition is an apprenticeship is a job within an accompanying skills development programme designed by employers in the sector. That's a bit of a mouthful. So basically what it means is that an apprenticeship is a job and you do a qualification to match your job role at the same time. So for example, you might want to be an engineer. So you get a job in an engineering based environment, you go to work 4 days a week and you come to college 1 day a week. So you do your qualification whilst getting paid to do the job at the same time in the workplace. When it talks about being designed by employers in the sector, what that means is that apprenticeships previously were sort of written by awarding bodies and the government, and now they have been rewritten by actual employers in that sector to make sure that they are relevant to what you are doing at work. So there's no point in you just ticking off criteria on a qualification for the sake of it. It needs to be relevant to your day-to-day job role and also make sure that you have transferable skills so that if you are to move to another company within the same sector, you still have the qualification that is relevant for that job. So is applying for an apprenticeship the same as applying to college? It really isn't. In fact, to be totally honest, it's a lot more difficult. So when you apply for an apprenticeship, 9 times out of 10, there's probably only one position available for each advertisement, and there might be 60, 70, 80 applications. So what you need to do is really make yourself stand out because you aren't guaranteed a place and you aren't guaranteed a job. It is really applying for a job. So our advice for getting an apprenticeship would be to put in a good quality application. So when you are applying for apprenticeships, whether that be via our website or via the National Apprenticeship Service website, you will be asked to fill in an application form. Please make sure that you fill it in to the best of your ability and really try to sell yourself on there. Believe it or not, we do get some that may come through and they may say things like, why do you think you'd be suitable for this role? And the answer is because I want a job. Now, obviously, that isn't a good enough response. And when we've got 60 applications there, we are looking for the ones who stand out the best, give the best answers, and really sell themselves. After you've done that application, you'd be invited to attend an interview with us at the college as your training provider. You'd be expected to do some maths and English assessments, and we would do an interview with you to find out what you've been doing so far and what your intentions are for your apprenticeship. Once you have successfully passed that stage, we would ask you for a copy of your CV, and that is what will be sent to an employer, and that is what you will use to represent yourself. So your CV needs to be up to date, needs to be clear and concise, and really, again, it is all about selling yourself. So talking about any hobbies that you may have, talking about your attendance at school, any part-time work or work experience that you've done, and just to reiterate your passion for the sector that you've chosen. If you are selected for an interview with an employer, you'll go along and they may do a formal interview with you where they might ask things like what you've done so far, what you did at school, what your hobbies and interests are, why you want to work in their sector, what your long-term goals are, all of these sort of things. And then some employers do ask you to do a work trial. So it could be that you get down to the last, say, 2 or 3 candidates and they can't make a decision. So what they might ask you to do is come to work for 3 to 5 days and they will see how you actually behave on the job. Are you on time? Are you dressed appropriately? Can you communicate with other members of staff well? What is your work ethic like? All of those sort of things. And then they will make a decision from there. So it isn't as easy as just putting an application in and being accepted, unfortunately. There are a lot of hoops to jump through. But if you are certain on the career sector that you're choosing and that it's definitely an apprenticeship that you want to do, then by all means go for it and really sell yourself. We've just touched on this slightly, but what makes a strong apprenticeship candidate? We are looking for people who are passionate, dedicated, driven. They know what their sector is and they have a genuine interest in that sector. They know that they want to work in that industry, why they want to work in that industry. Maybe they've had a little bit of experience. There is a minimum of a grade 2 at GCSE for Maths and English for a level 2 apprenticeship. However, some employers will ask for higher grades than that, and it is dictated by the employer for their position. A lot of employers will dictate a grade 4 or above for Maths and English, but again, that does depend on what sector area you're going into and what their requirements are. If it's potentially a role where there might not be a great deal of Maths and English involved in it, they might take the lower grades and be happier with that, and you would just do those again as part of your apprenticeship in functional skills. We need somebody who's going to be hardworking, punctual, efficient and accurate. We don't want someone who's going to be turning up late, calling in sick, someone whose work isn't very good. You need to be there and dedicated and working your socks off to show that you deserve that place in that apprenticeship. If you've done any Saturday jobs or work experience or voluntary work, this just sort of shows a good ethic and that you're willing to put yourself out there a little bit and try. Obviously, if you're not old enough to do that yet, then don't worry about that. But you can talk about any work experience that you've done at school or, like I say, any volunteering. If you are a member of any clubs, so things like if you were part of a football team or a swim team, or maybe you coach younger children to do gymnastics or anything like that, really, a sport, or it could be anything, to be honest with you, write that on your CV. Make sure that we're aware of it in your application, because it shows that you're a confident person, that you're a leader, that you can communicate effectively. These are all good skills to showcase, so make sure that you do put that on there. So you do need to be at least 16 to commence an apprenticeship. However, if, like myself, your birthday is in July or August, that means that when you finish school, you will still be aged 15. In that circumstance, you can start an apprenticeship before you turn 16, as long as you have your national insurance number, because you need that in order to be paid, and we also need that to enrol you onto an apprenticeship. Employers sometimes do have age restrictions depending on what industry they're in. So, for example, if the role involves working on any heavy machinery, or if they may require you to do a forklift truck license, or if there's any alcohol served in the place of work, they could request somebody who's 18. Similarly, if they are working shifts in a factory environment, they need somebody who's 18 or over. But not 9 times out of 10, that will be displayed to you up front, and we will also advertise that for you, so you don't apply if you're younger. The minimum wage currently for apprenticeships is £4.15 an hour for the first year of your apprenticeship. What we mean by for the first year is after the first year, if you are aged 19 or over, you will automatically be put on to national minimum wage for your age group. If you are still aged between 16 and 18 in your second year, the employer can still pay you £4.15 an hour. But if most employers will choose to give you a little pay rise, but again, that is down to them. So why choose an apprenticeship? Why do an apprenticeship over going to college or university? Well, first and foremost, the main bonus is that you are getting paid. So you are earning at least £124.50 a week. So that's based on the minimum wage of £4.15 an hour, and that's on a 30-hour week. 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be working 37 to 40 hours a week, so you're already earning more than that. And you're gaining the real life industry experience. So for example, say you wanted to be an engineer, you could go to college for a couple of years, do a level 2 and a level 3, and then go to university for 3 or 4 years to do your engineering degree. And when you come out of that and you're applying for jobs, you haven't had any work experience in the real industry workplace. If you do it via an apprenticeship, you're doing it all in the workplace. So you're doing your level 2, your level 3, HNC and HND. They are up to degree level qualifications, all done in the workplace. And bonus, you've gotten paid the whole time and you don't have any student debt to come out with. You haven't had to pay for a degree, you haven't had to take out student loans. That is such a huge advantage this day and age, and definitely a plus side to apprenticeships. Also, as an apprentice of East Durham College, you do get a few perks. So you get a free bus pass with Arriva. So if you can get to and from work and you don't drive, or to and from college on an Arriva bus, we'll give you a bus pass, and that's completely free. You also get a free gym membership for our gym here on campus, so that's over at Peterlee. So if you do live locally and you want to train in our gym, you can do so for free. And you're also eligible for student discounts. So I think a lot of people forget that when they're an apprentice, they're also a student. So you get things such as Student Beans and Unidays app. You can use those to get student discounts, and also Totem, which used to be known as an NUS card. You can use that for various student discounts out in sort of restaurants and cinemas and clothes shops and all over the place. It really is worth doing. So the apprenticeships that we have available within East Durham College, I'm just going to read these out. I know they're on the screen, but for anybody who's maybe visually impaired who's just listening along today, we have accountancy, agriculture, arboriculture, barbering, bricklaying and business administration, childcare, construction, customer service, electrotechnical technology, which is electricians essentially, engineering, hairdressing, health and social care, horse care, horticulture for landscape gardening, and also horticulture for sports turf, so that could be things like greenkeeping on a golf course, management, manufacturing, and teaching assistant and team leading. Your management and team leading qualifications are generally for people who are already in their job role. So for example, you may do a business administration apprenticeship, do your level 2, do your level 3, and then you are promoted to a supervisor or an office manager, and then you can go on to do your team leading or your management qualification. So what's next? What to do next? So the first thing we would say is to register on the National Apprenticeship Service website if you haven't already done so. So the web link is on the screen there, but you can also find it via Google. If you just type into Google, find an apprenticeship, it'll be the first link that comes up. What you do is go on there and register your details and register what kind of apprenticeships you're interested in, and it does like a job search. So you can put down that you want to be a hairdresser and you are willing to travel for up to 10 miles to get to your apprenticeship vacancy. It will bring up all the vacancies that are local to you, and you can apply for them directly through that website. As mentioned previously, we need to make sure that you've got a good quality CV so that when we're sending you off to employers, you stand out and you are selected for interview. Also keeping up to date with our apprenticeship vacancies, so our website address is on there, but on the website, if you go to the apprenticeships tab and then apprenticeship vacancies, all of our vacancies are on there, and again you can apply directly through that website. Make sure that you stay in touch with us. So if you do come to us for an interview and then we're trying to contact you to arrange an interview, we need you to be able to answer the phone. So please don't ignore it if it's a number calling that you don't recognise. It's probably us trying to get you an interview. We also text and email you as well, so just make sure that you stay in touch. Similarly, if you do change your mobile phone number, let us know, because we've had instances in the past where someone's applied for a job, they get an interview and then we can't get hold of them because they've changed their phone number and not let us know. And the final one, following us on Facebook. So we have our own Facebook page, which is East Durham College Apprenticeships, and on there again we post all of our vacancies, all of our good news stories, and you can just keep up to date with what we've got going on within the department. So it is a good page to follow. So the next slide was obviously any questions for our question and answer section. However, we haven't got that facility available today. So I've put on the slide there our email address, apprenticeships@eastdurham.ac.uk. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us on that and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you for watching.